Commander Alex Wilson wiped sweat from his brow as he stared at the main screen of the USS Vanguard. The strange ship had appeared 3 hours ago, and it still made no sense. The object was completely black. Not dark gray or navy blue, but a black so deep it seemed to eat light. No stars showed behind it. No reflections danced on its surface. It was as if someone had cut a ship-shaped hole in space itself. "Scan it again," he said to Lieutenant Susan Morgan. His fingers tapped nervously on the arm of his chair. Susan shook her head. Her red hair was pulled back tight and worry lines creased her forehead. "Still nothing new, sir. No life signs. But there's power in there. A lot of power. And this thing is huge. Like 3 football fields lined up end to end." The black ship had shown up without warning. 1 minute, empty space. The next minute, the giant black shape just sitting there at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The Vanguard was the only human ship in the area, patrolling the outer edges of humanity's first colony beyond the solar system. "Any response to our messages?" Alex asked, already knowing the answer. "None, sir. We've tried every language, every frequency, even basic math patterns. Nothing." Alex stood up and paced across the bridge. The rest of the crew watched him, waiting. In his 15 years in space, he had seen strange things. Unexplained signals, weird space rocks, even a few false alarms that people thought were alien ships. But this was different. This was real. "We need to know what that thing is," he finally said. "And sitting here staring at it isn't giving us answers." Dr. Kate Reynolds looked up from her station. Her brown eyes widened. "Commander, you're not suggesting—" "I am." Alex cut her off. "We're going over there." Kate stood up. As the ship's exobiologist, she was responsible for studying any new life forms they found. So far, that had meant mostly space bacteria and simple plants on distant moons. "Sir, with all due respect, that's crazy. We have no idea what's waiting for us. The rules say we protect Earth and its colonies," Alex said firmly. "And a ship that can appear out of nowhere, with no warning, is a potential threat. I'm not going to sit here and wait for whatever's in there to make the first move." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew he was right, but no one wanted to say it. "I'll lead the boarding party myself," Alex continued. "I need 4 volunteers. Full environmental suits, weapons ready." Kate sighed. "I'll go. You'll need someone who can recognize alien biology." "Count me in," said Security Chief Alan Pierce, a tall man with broad shoulders and a scar running down his left cheek. "Not letting you go in there without protection." 2 engineers, Greg Foster and Olivia Martinez, also stepped forward. Greg was young, barely 25, with excitement shining in his blue eyes. Olivia was older, more cautious, but her hands were steady as she prepared her tools. "Prep a shuttle," Alex ordered. "We leave in 30 minutes. The small group gathered in the shuttle bay, checking their gear one last time. The environmental suits were bulky but necessary. No one knew what kind of air might be in the alien ship or if there was any air at all. Each person carried a standard sidearm, oxygen for 6 hours, and emergency beacons. "Stay together at all times," Alex told them as they boarded the shuttle. "First sign of trouble, we get out. This is just reconnaissance, understand?" The others nodded solemnly. As the shuttle bay doors opened, Alex felt a strange feeling in his stomach. Not fear, exactly. More like standing on the edge of a very high cliff, knowing that one step would change everything. "Launching now," Olivia said from the pilot's seat. The small craft pushed away from the Vanguard and moved slowly toward the black ship. As they got closer, the size of the alien vessel became more obvious. It dwarfed their shuttle like a whale next to a minnow. No windows broke its smooth surface. No lights flickered. No markings of any kind. "How do we get in?" Greg asked, staring out the viewport. "I don't see any doors or hatches." As if in answer to his question, a section of the black hull suddenly changed. The darkness shifted, creating a rectangular opening just large enough for their shuttle. "It's inviting us in," Kate whispered. "Or it's a mouth about to swallow us," Pierce muttered, checking his gun. Alex took a deep breath. This was the moment. That would change humanity forever, and he knew it. Whatever waited inside that ship would reshape their understanding of the universe. "Take us in, Olivia," he ordered. Slow and steady, the shuttle drifted forward, crossing the threshold from known space into the perfect darkness of the alien ship. The opening closed behind them, sealing them inside the belly of the beast. "Well," Pierce said, his voice echoing in the silence of the shuttle, "I guess they were expecting us after all." The team stepped out of their shuttle into the black ship. Right away they noticed something strange. The sound of their boots, which should have echoed on the hard floor, seemed muffled. It was as if the walls swallowed the noise. "Check your comms," Alex ordered, tapping his helmet. The others did the same. "Working, but with interference," Olivia reported. "Signal strength at 50%, even though we're standing right next to each other." Alex nodded. "Stay close. No one goes more than 10 feet from the group." They turned on their helmet lights, but the beams didn't work like they should. Instead of cutting through the darkness, the light seemed to spread out and fade after just a few feet. Still, it was enough to see that they stood in a long, smooth hallway. The walls were black like the outside of the ship, but with a slight shine to them. "Are these walls metal?" Greg wondered, reaching out to touch the surface. His gloved fingers slid across it with no friction. "It's not cold like metal. It feels room temperature. Exactly room temperature." "Don't touch anything unless I say so," Alex warned. "We don't know what might be dangerous." Kate was studying her scanner. Her forehead wrinkled as she looked at the readings. "This is weird. According to these numbers, this hallway is about 50 feet wide." "That can't be right," Pierce said, looking around. "It's maybe 15 feet tops." "Exactly," Kate said. "And look at this. The scanner says this ship is about 8 miles long, from front to back, but from the outside we estimated it at less than a mile." "Maybe the scanner is broken," Alex suggested. Olivia shook her head. "Mine shows the same thing. And look at this reading for the walls. It says they're both solid, and not solid at the same time, like they're partly here and partly somewhere else. Non-Euclidean geometry," Kate said quietly. The others looked at her. "What does that mean?" Pierce asked. "It means," Kate explained, "that this ship doesn't follow the normal rules of space. It's like, imagine if you could fold a piece of paper so that 2 points that are far apart on the flat paper actually touch each other when folded. These aliens might be able to bend space itself." That's how it appeared out of nowhere, Alex realized. It was always there, just folded away somehow. They moved deeper into the ship, making sure to mark their path back to the shuttle. The lighting was strange. There were no visible light sources, yet they could see. It wasn't bright, but there was a soft glow that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Most oddly, nothing cast shadows, not even their own bodies. "Where is everyone?" Greg whispered after they had walked for about 10 minutes. "A ship this big should have a crew. Maybe they're hiding," Pierce suggested, his hand on his weapon. "Or maybe they don't need to be here," Kate said. "Maybe the ship runs itself." The corridor finally opened into a vast room. At first they thought it was empty, then their eyes adjusted, and they saw them. Rows upon rows of large containers, each about the size of a car, arranged in perfect lines throughout the enormous space. "What are they?" Alex asked, approaching the nearest container cautiously. The containers were not black like the rest of the ship, but a dull gray color. They had no obvious doors or controls, just smooth surfaces on all sides. Olivia walked around one, scanning it. "There's definitely something inside. Energy readings and... Wait." She looked up, surprised. "Biological readings, too. Whatever's in here, it's alive. Cargo," Pierce guessed. "Are they hauling animals or something?" "Let me check," Kate said, moving closer with her specialized bioscanner. She adjusted some settings, then gasped. "These readings, they're similar to humanoid life forms but not human. Different organ structure, different body chemistry." The team exchanged worried looks. "Are they dangerous?" Alex asked. Kate shrugged. "No way to know without seeing them." Greg had wandered, a few steps away to look at another container. He ran his hand along its surface, feeling for any kind of opening. I wonder how these things... He jumped back as a line of light suddenly appeared on the container's surface. The line widened, forming a rectangle of bright white light. The rectangle grew, revealing what was inside. "Guys," Greg called, his voice shaking. "You need to see this." The others hurried over as the container fully opened. Inside was what looked like a clear coffin, filled with a bluish liquid. And floating in that liquid was a creature. It was shaped roughly like a human, but much taller, maybe 7 feet. Its skin was pale gray like ash. Its head was too big for its body, with no hair and no ears that they could see. Its eyes were closed. Its long, thin arms crossed over its chest. "Is it dead?" Pierce asked. Kate scanned it. "No. It's alive, but..." She checked her readings again. "Its vital signs are super slow, like way slower than a human in hibernation. 1 heartbeat every 10 minutes, 1 breath every 30. It's sleeping," Alex realized. "They're all sleeping." They looked around at the thousands of containers in the room, suddenly understanding what they were seeing. This wasn't a cargo ship. It was a transport ship carrying these alien beings somewhere. "We should go," Pierce said quietly. "Wake up the shuttle, get back to the Vanguard, report what we found." "Agreed," Alex said. "We've seen enough." A soft humming sound cut him off. At first it was so quiet they barely noticed it. Then it grew louder, vibrating through the floor beneath their feet. One by one, lights began to appear on the containers around them. Not just the one they had approached, but all of them. Thousands of lights blinking on in sequence. "What did you do?" Alex asked Greg, his voice tight with tension. "Nothing. I just touched it." The container in front of them began to change. The bluish liquid drained away. The clear coffin slid open. The creature inside began to move, its long fingers uncurling, its chest expanding with a deeper breath. All around the room, the same thing was happening to other containers. The aliens were waking up. "I think," Pierce said slowly, backing away and drawing his weapon. "We just woke them all up." The beings emerged from their pods with fluid, graceful movements. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, their large eyes solid black without visible pupils or irises. They made no sound as they observed the humans. One of the beings stepped forward, its head tilting curiously. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in the humans' minds. "We are the collectors. You have awakened us prematurely. We apologize for the intrusion," Commander Wilson responded carefully. "We are representatives of humanity from Earth. We came to investigate your vessel." Humanity. Earth. Yes. You were scheduled for processing in your solar cycle 2157. You have developed faster than anticipated. Dr. Reynolds felt a chill run down her spine. Processing? What does that mean? The being's expression didn't change, but the mental voice became tinged with what might have been amusement. All sentient species are eventually processed. Their uniqueness is preserved, their essence collected, their planets repurposed. "You're talking about extinction," Wilson said, his hand moving subtly toward his weapon. "Not extinction, preservation. The galaxy cycles. Species rise, species fall. We ensure nothing of value is lost." Pierce had heard enough. "Commander, they're talking about wiping us out." The alien's attention shifted to Pierce. "It is the natural order. You will be honored among the collected." "And if we refuse?" Wilson asked. "None refuse. None can." Suddenly, the ship trembled. The aliens looked at each other in what appeared to be confusion. Something is wrong. The awakening sequence has been corrupted. As the being spoke, several of the other aliens began to convulse, their bodies contorting painfully. The leader turned to Wilson, its mental voice now urgent. "What have you done?" The team ran through the shaking corridors of the black ship, following the markers they had left earlier. The walls trembled. Strange sounds echoed all around them. Metal groaning, high-pitched alarms, and the mental cries of confused aliens that leaked into their minds. "What's happening to this ship?" Greg shouted as they ran. Alex didn't answer. He was focused on getting his people out alive. The path seemed longer now, twisting in ways he didn't remember. The strange geometry of the ship was changing, making their escape harder. "There," Pierce pointed ahead. "The shuttle bay." They burst into the large room where they had docked their shuttle. It was still there, untouched. They sprinted toward it, hearts pounding. Just as they reached the shuttle door, 3 aliens appeared, blocking their path. Unlike the others, these looked angry. Their black eyes seemed darker, their movements sharper. "You will stay. You must fix what you have done." The mental voice hammered into their heads, causing Kate to wince in pain. "We didn't do anything," Alex insisted, though he wasn't entirely sure that was true. One alien stepped forward, towering over them. "Your ship has attacked us." "That's impossible," Olivia said. "The Vanguard doesn't have weapons that could hurt this ship." The alien reached toward them with its long fingers, but Pierce stepped forward, raising his weapon. "Stay back," he warned. Behind them, a wall panel suddenly sparked and exploded in a shower of blue light. The aliens turned toward it, distracted. Alex used that moment to push his team toward the shuttle. "Get in. Now." They scrambled into the shuttle, sealing the door behind them. Through the viewport, they could see more aliens entering the bay, some moving normally, others twitching and jerking like broken puppets. "Get us out of here, Olivia," Alex ordered. She jumped into the pilot's seat and fired up the engines. "The bay door isn't open. We're trapped in here." "Ram it," Pierce suggested. "We'd just splatter ourselves against it," Olivia replied. "This shuttle isn't built for that." Suddenly the ship shook harder than before. The aliens outside fell to their knees. The black walls of the bay rippled like water. And then, a crack appeared in the hull, a thin line of actual stars visible from outside. "The ship is breaking." "Up," Kate realized. "The bay door," Greg pointed. "It's opening." Sure enough, the large door was sliding open, though not smoothly. It jerked and stuttered, as if the ship's systems were fighting against each other. "That's our chance," Alex said. "Go now." Olivia didn't need to be told twice. She fired the thrusters, and the shuttle shot forward, squeezing through the partially open bay door and out into open space. Behind them, the black ship continued to shake and twist. Strange energy patterns rippled across its surface like multicolored lightning. "Get us back to the Vanguard," Alex said. "Fast as you can." As the shuttle raced away from the alien vessel, Alex finally had a moment to catch his breath and think. What had happened back there? How had the mighty alien ship suddenly started failing? It didn't make sense. Unless... Captain Bennett to boarding party. A voice crackled over their comms. "Do you read me? Get away from that ship now. Repeat. Get clear of the alien vessel immediately." "This is Commander Wilson," Alex responded. "We're clear and heading back to you. What's going on?" There was a pause before Bennett replied. "We saw what was happening and took preventative measures." Alex looked at his team. Their faces showed the same confusion he felt. "What kind of measures, Captain?" he asked. As they approached the Vanguard, they could see it was at battle stations. All defensive systems were online, though it had fired no weapons. Instead, a small device was floating in space between the Vanguard and the alien ship. A simple black box, no bigger than a lunch container. "When you didn't check in on schedule," Bennett explained, "Engineer Martinez's plan was activated." All eyes turned to Olivia, who suddenly looked very uncomfortable. "What plan?" Alex asked. Olivia swallowed hard. "Before we left, I may have prepared a small device, just in case things went bad." "What kind of device?" Kate asked. "It's a modified virus," Olivia admitted. "A computer virus, but with some special features. I designed it to target any advanced computer system we might encounter. It's old tech, really old tech, the kind no advanced system would be prepared for." "You sent a computer virus to an alien ship?" Greg asked, his voice rising. "Without authorization?" "I had authorization," Olivia said defensively. "Captain Bennett approved it as a last resort. It was supposed to be a distraction so we could escape if we needed to." I didn't know it would do that. She gestured toward the alien ship, which was now glowing with strange light. The most advanced ships and computers are vulnerable to the simplest attacks. Bennett's voice came through the comm. That's something we've known for centuries. No one builds defenses against things that are too primitive to be a threat. Alex began to understand. So you sent them what? A virus from the early days of computing? Olivia nodded. Something like the first computer viruses from the late 20th century, but modified. The aliens wouldn't have any defenses against something that old and simple. They've probably never seen anything like it, because it would be like us worrying about getting sick from dinosaur germs, Kate realized. Too primitive to be compatible with our biology. Except their systems are partly organic, Olivia said, and they're integrated with their bodies. That's why they started convulsing when their ship malfunctioned. As they docked with the Vanguard, Alex looked back at the alien vessel one last time. It was changing shape now, parts of it folding in on themselves, other parts expanding outward. It reminded him of a dying sea creature twisting in pain. We may have just started a war, he said quietly. They were already planning to process us, Pierce reminded him. We just fired the first shot. Alex nodded, but the victory felt hollow. They had escaped with their lives, but at what cost? What would happen when more alien ships came looking for their missing vessel? Would humanity be ready? 2 weeks after their encounter with the Black Ship, Alex stood in the main conference room of Earth Defense Headquarters. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing the positions of human colonies and defense ships. The room was filled with military leaders, scientists, and government officials, all waiting to hear what Alex's team had discovered. President Richard Coleman, a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes, stood at the front of the room. Commander Wilson, please tell us what you've learned. Alex nodded and stepped forward. The alien ship we encountered was part of something called the Collection. From the data we recovered, we now know these aliens have been traveling through our galaxy for millions of years, collecting samples of intelligent species. He paused as a murmur went through the crowd. But here's the important part, he continued. They weren't doing this out of cruelty. They were doing it because they're afraid. Kate stepped up beside him. She had spent days studying the alien data. The collectors believe the galaxy goes through cycles of destruction and rebirth. They call it the renewal. According to their records, every few billion years something wipes out all advanced life in the galaxy. What kind of something? A general asked. They don't know exactly, Kate explained. Maybe giant explosions from the center of the galaxy. Maybe something to do with dark energy. Their solution was to collect samples of every species and store them in special ships that exist partly outside normal space. So they're Noah's Ark, another official said, saving the animals before the flood. Yes, Kate nodded. But only small samples, not entire species. They think this is the only way anything survives. Alex took over again. According to their calculations, the next renewal will happen within 100 years. That's why they were coming to collect us. President Coleman frowned. And we destroyed their ship. We did, Alex admitted. But we also learned something important. The collectors stopped trying to prevent the renewal long ago. They only focused on preserving samples. Olivia stood up from her seat. We think differently. Humans don't accept destruction as inevitable. We fight. What are you suggesting? President Coleman asked. The collectors' data shows patterns, Olivia explained. If we study these patterns, maybe we can find a way to stop the renewal. Not just save samples of humanity, but save everyone. The room fell silent as people considered her words. Finally, Admiral Frank Davis stood. The collectors had billions of years to solve this problem, and they gave up. What makes you think we can do better? Kate smiled. Because we're human. We don't accept impossible odds. We don't surrender. Alex looked around the room. The Black Ship came to collect us, to preserve a tiny piece of humanity in their cosmic museum. Instead, we took their knowledge and found a new purpose, not just to survive, but to save everything. President Coleman nodded slowly. Then we better get to work. We have a galaxy to save. As the meeting ended, Alex looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, more collector ships were waiting. But now, humanity was ready. They had a fighting chance. And sometimes, that was all humans needed.